For years, Keeping Up Appearances has made us all wince, laugh and cringe in equal measure at the unstoppable Hyacinth Bucket.
It's bouquet!
But behind the polished silver, the candlelight suppers and those poor, long-suffering neighbours, there are plenty of hidden gems you've probably never noticed, from recycled props to cross-show references, from mysterious family members to real-life bargains from the BBC props department. So, let's dust off the Royal Doulton and look at 10 things you probably didn't spot in Keeping Up Appearances.
When the call comes, I shall be there.
Hyacinth boasts endlessly about her Royal Doulton with the hand-painted periwinkles.
Elizabeth, if you could pass round my Royal Doulton with the hand-painted periwinkles.
But here's the truth. The crockery used on set wasn't Royal Doulton at all. It was a cheap market find. A blue floral pattern from cold cloth china, bought second-hand by the BBC props team because it looked posh on camera. The pattern name? Braganza.
We'll have to ask them in and they can have tea out of my Royal Doulton with the hand-painted periwinkles.
And yes, there isn't a periwinkle in sight. The production team later admitted that Hyacinth's proudest possession cost only a few pounds, which, in a way, makes the joke even funnier.
Of course he can have tea afterwards, but not out of my Royal Doulton.
Hyacinth's sisters are Daisy, Rose and Violet, all named after flowers. It's an intentional contrast between her name, a sophisticated bloom, and the chaos of her family.
You used to come home late with your gentleman friends. You've had some happy hours on this suite.
And Violet, though often talked about rather than seen, does actually appear in later episodes, living in a large house with a Mercedes, sauna and room for a pony, constantly phoning to complain about her husband, Bruce.
It's Bruce again. He's wearing all Violet's clothes.
Oh, not that knitted two-piece.
Bruce himself pops up in a few cameo appearances, and there's a running joke about his cross-dressing habits and their turbulent marriage, all handled with a mixture of farce and British understatement.
Where have you gone now? Violet!
At last! Not you.
Hyacinth and Richard's son Sheridan is the most famous unseen character in British sitcom history.
If Sheridan were here, he'd be appalled.
You never properly see his face, not once. There is a brief moment in one episode where Hyacinth waves someone off in a car.
I do wish he'd reconsider wearing a vest.
And eagle-eyed fans have pointed out that the photograph of a young boy in the opening credits could be him, but the writers kept him deliberately invisible.
Oh, here's my Sheridan shrimping with his daddy in 1979.
A running gag that made him more of a myth than a man. Keeping Up Appearances fan forums, particularly on Facebook, have been full of lively debates about who could have played Sheridan if he'd ever appeared on screen. One of the most popular suggestions is James Dreyfus, best known for The Thin Blue Line and Gimme Gimme Gimme. Fans often point out that his sharp delivery and slightly theatrical energy would have matched Hyacinth's pomp and flair perfectly.
Sheridan used to love to hear his mummy sing. Even as a tiny child, when I sang, it could reduce him to tears.
Of course, Sheridan remained deliberately unseen, but the speculation adds a fun what-if twist to the show's enduring mystique.
To have such lovely hair. It's gone thin already.
He practically stroked it away when he was young.
Hyacinth's flamboyant sister Rose always seems to be between boyfriends, often married ones.
You were waiting for some magic words. You old softy.
If you listen closely, you'll hear her mention men such as Mr. Bickerstaff, Mr. Blenkinsop, and, most famously, Mr. Helliwell.
It's Mr. Helliwell, my Mr. Helliwell. He's coming to pick me up here later.
That last name might sound familiar because a Mr. Helliwell also appears in another Roy Clark sitcom, Last of the Summer Wine.
Gough Helliwell is going to die next Tuesday.
Whether Clark intended it or not, fans have long speculated that this was a cheeky crossover between the two shows, suggesting that, somewhere in Yorkshire, Mr. Helliwell might have had a very busy social calendar.
You should keep him at home. Then he wouldn't get into any trouble. He was at home until you came along showing your legs.
Geoffrey Hughes's portrayal of Onslow is so iconic. The beer can, the unwashed vest, the woolen V-neck sleeveless jumper, that many fans assume the costume was carefully designed.
As a lover, I'm still dynamite.
Rather a short fuse these days.
In reality, Most of it came from the BBC wardrobe department's bargain bin. His famously filthy vest was deliberately stained with old makeup and food scraps to look worn in. No fancy dressing, just layers of deliberate scruffiness.
Somebody has to think of the philosophical implications of a universe full of black holes.
It's a perfect contrast to Hyacinth's starched neatness, and Hughes played it with real affection. He once said Onslow was lazy, but not stupid. The one character who actually sees straight through Hyacinth.
It's not father, it's Hyacinth.
Ah, well, that's all right then. Come on, let's have another cup of coffee.
Judy Cornwell, who played Daisy, picked many of her costumes herself, including that well-loved grey cardigan.
I should have tidied up.
You look all right to me.
Oh, Onslow.
She reportedly found it hanging in a BBC wardrobe storeroom and thought it was too awful not to use.
That's it then. He's going to have another woman. I'm going to have another man.
It became such an iconic part of her look that fans would send her identical ones in the post. Like Hyacinth's china, Daisy's cardigan became a symbol of thriftiness, unintentionally authentic.
I found these with my things. I think they might be yours.
Hyacinth's father, known only as Daddy, is another mostly unseen but wildly memorable character.
Come on, Daddy, back to Moon Base 1.
He's often heard or glimpsed doing something outrageous, escaping from his bedroom window in his pyjamas, stealing Richard's car, or bringing a bucket of horse manure to Hyacinth's barbecue at Violet's house. Although he appears briefly on screen, he represents the biggest threat to Hyacinth's carefully curated image.
I must ask you to take him away from here, Mrs. Bouquet. And as soon as possible.
Whenever Daddy's gone missing again, you know social disaster is moments away.
I'll find Daddy's clothes. They must be hidden somewhere. That includes you, Emmett.
We all know Elizabeth, Hyacinth's long-suffering neighbour who can barely sip a cup of coffee without spilling it. But have you ever noticed something odd?
You've got the stain out where I spilled the coffee? No. The tray. Oh, yes. Delicious.
For all her appearances, we never once see Elizabeth's husband. Not a glimpse. Not even a photograph.
Remember Elizabeth from next door? Her husband works abroad somewhere, one of those Arab countries.
He's occasionally mentioned in passing, but always conveniently working abroad. This wasn't a production oversight. It was intentional.
The trick with Hyacinth is to just let things wash over you.
According to actress Josephine Chewson, writer Roy Clark once asked her whether she thought they should finally introduce Elizabeth's husband into the show. Chewson said no. She believed that keeping Elizabeth's husband unseen preserved the comic chemistry between Hyacinth and Elizabeth, the nervous neighbour who becomes Hyacinth's unwilling confidant.
Have you noticed anything different about Richard? He's behaving very oddly. Oddly? Richard?
Clark agreed, and instead of a husband, he introduced Elizabeth's brother, Emmett, played by David Griffin, a clever way to freshen up the dynamic without breaking the balance. This detail was confirmed in the BBC documentary series Comedy Connections, which profiled keeping up appearances, and has also been discussed by fans in long-running Facebook groups dedicated to the show. So the next time Hyacinth invites Elizabeth for coffee, spare a thought for the poor unseen husband, eternally absent, but somehow better off that way.
Hyacinth wants us to visit them this evening.
You didn't say yes.
I didn't say anything!
The show wasn't immune to the odd production hiccup. Interior sets would subtly change, furniture moving between shots, a missing lamp, or wallpaper that mysteriously swaps pattern between series. And watch closely in early episodes. The outside of the Bouquet residence doesn't always match the inside layout. That's because exterior scenes were filmed at a real house in Binley Woods near Coventry, while interiors were done on a BBC soundstage. Proof that perfectionism doesn't always extend to props.
Hello. Philistines.
In one memorable episode, Hyacinth proudly upgrades her living room furniture and decides to generously pass her old three-piece suite to Daisy and Onslow. It's a gaudy blue number.
There's been an accident. I know my suite's in flames on the motorway.
The sort of thing Hyacinth insists is far too good for anyone else, really. But sharp-eyed viewers have noticed something fascinating. That exact same blue suite appears in another BBC classic, 1 Foot in the Grave. Yes, The very same style, and quite possibly the exact same furniture, can be seen in Victor Meldrew's living room. It's not coincidence. Both sitcoms were produced by the BBC around the same period, and props were routinely shared between sets to save money. So the blue sofa that once hosted Hyacinth's candlelight soirees later became the seat of Victor Meldrew's grumpy outbursts. It's an unintentional crossover of two of British comedy's most iconic households, Hyacinth Bucket's world of forced refinement meeting Victor Meldrew's world of perpetual irritation, linked forever by one second-hand sofa.
Now, this is the cup that was awarded to Sheridan for doing a width doggy paddle.
Although Keeping Up Appearances ended in 1995, its legacy continues, regularly repeated, endlessly quoted, and still one of the BBC's most exported comedies. The show's creator, Roy Clark, captured something deeply British, that obsession with class.
Just a party game, Vicar. You'll soon get the hang of it.
Appearance, and keeping up, well, appearances. And even though Patricia Routledge, who brought Hyacinth to life, passed away recently at the age of 96, her character remains timeless. Whether she's answering the white slimline telephone with automatic redial or hosting another disastrous candlelight supper, Hyacinth Bucket will always be with us. The woman who made snobbery hysterically funny.
Oh, Hyacinth!
So there you have it. 10 things you probably didn't spot in Keeping Up Appearances. From cheap china and clever continuity to cross-show connections and iconic cardigans. Which detail surprised you most? The market-bought tea set? The invisible Sheridan? Or maybe Mr. Helliwell's wandering ways? If you loved this trip down BBC memory lane, don't forget to subscribe. Because next time, we're peeking behind another beloved classic.
Mrs. Bucket. It's Bucket!